I don't think I need any introduction for this since everyone knows what SpongeBob is or the Krusty Krab. So let's just jump right into it. Right off the bat, I already encountered problems before starting to make the Krusty Krab. You see, the show is very inconsistent in terms of almost everything. For example, you can see that SpongeBob is struggling to lift a single straw, but he can lift a spatula just fine. And the same goes for the Krusty Krab. From the outside, if you actually scale it properly, the place is quite smaller than you think, but when you see the inside, it's quite large, almost impossible if you compare it from the outside and the inside. So for this build, I have to separate the exterior from the interior. It is going to be a different piece. I started off with compiling a few pictures of the Krusty Krab, interior and exterior. There was a lot of trial and error because I kept on messing up the scale, because it's a 2D cartoon. I can't really work much around it. It's kinda weird actually that I was much more comfortable doing the sentry from my previous video than making a cartoonish restaurant. It's because I can see from every different angle and get a clearer picture. Now in my previous video, I mentioned using components when you are making a symmetrical build. Well, in this build, I use component in almost everything, because you will change your design a lot for every time you make mistake. Now, if you have a symmetrical building and you mess up on one side, you don't want to redo it again on the other manually because it will be time consuming. So, by using components, every change you make will apply to the other. For the roof part, I use a tool called Tool Bend. It is a plugin in Sketchup where you can bend an object easily. To be honest, I don't know why I use this plugin for this part, because I could just easily make an arc and extrude it. But hey, as long as it works, there's no problem, right? Unless it wastes too much of your time, which I did. There is a chimney located on the top of the Krusty Krab. There's a small little detail connecting the chimney with the roof. It's a small curved rectangle. Now, in SketchUp, you cannot create a face with a curved line because that's not how it works. Basically, a curved face has multiple smaller square or faces, and to make that manually is going to be like hell. So with the plugin that I use called Soap Bubble, you can create a curved face with ease. Just click on the lines that you want to make a face with and click the symbol, and boom, just like that. There's not much going on because I was just pushing things here, pulling stuff there. It's quite straightforward. Because the exterior is not the difficult part. I thought that it was going to be a walk in a park until I encountered my second problem, the sign of the Krusty Krab. Now I don't know how to design a shell in SketchUp, so I had to use my big brain time to tackle this problem. First, I make a bamboo, which is very simple. Just make a cylinder with a slim waist, then copy paste it later. The next step is the shell. I made a simple shape first, like an ice cream cone, as the base for the shell. Then I made a wavy line on the end of the curvy part of the ice cream using 2-point arc. After I made the line, I added some thickness by using Follow Me tool, made a circle face, and boom. That was only the edge part of the shell. Now I need to make an outer part of the shell, which is quite confusing for me to do. And then I realized that by using Soap Bubble plugin again, I can create the outer part. I select the line from the edge and create a face. Now there is a special feature from this tool that I can make a surface expand like a balloon. By clicking on this symbol, you can expand it by typing in the pressure, and boom. Now it looks a lot more like a shell. Did some finishing touches and add the Krusty Krab text by tracing it, and done. I'm not gonna go into much of the texturing because the texturing part is what gives me nightmare. It does not want to cooperate with me, and it was trial and error to make it right. Because despite having a good looking building, a bad texture can ruin it as a whole. If you want an in-depth tutorial on texturing using V-Ray SketchUp, check out Architecture Inspiration. This channel really helps me on how to handle texturing using V-Ray. And here it is. To be honest, I feel like I could have done a better job on the rendering part because I'm kinda somewhat satisfied, but not really. Nevertheless, I did finish it. Now, the interior, which I'm most excited about since I really like doing interiors. First of all, you need to know that I like doing it does not mean I'm good at it. I'm also a student learning my ways around SketchUp. Now, making the tables and the chair or the barrel is quite easy, but the building surrounding it is quite tricky since I can't really find the exact dimension for the Krusty Krab since it's a cartoon and doesn't follow logic. So I just made to what I think is the correct dimension and go on with it. Nothing interesting really happens throughout the interior until I encounter the counter. The shape is quite challenging to make. Again, I made a simple base for the boat and extrude it upward. Then I select one of the points or vertexes on the nose of the boat and moved it upwards. There are these details on the side of the boat that I had to use a follow me tool again, and did minor adjustment using soap bubble and done. Seriously, go get soap bubble, it's really helpful. You know, this whole time watching the show, I never knew that there's a space above the kitchen area. It's right beside the chimney thing. I think it's for storage. I just added some boxes and some bags to fill in the empty space on the top. There's really not much to explain after this. I was basically going back and forth with the texturing and rendering. I was kinda annoyed when dealing with texturing because most of the time you have to wait to see the result, and usually it took 4 minutes just to see if it's okay or not. And I had to do this for each texture to make sure it looks somewhat like the original. You can just enjoy the rest of the time lapse until the end where I'll show you the end result. And here it is. It looks kinda dirty, but I think that the ones from the cartoon also looks kinda dirty to me. I mean, I don't think Mr. Krab pays that much for cleaning anyway, so it's not surprising to me. But overall, I'm quite happy with the result. There are some parts I might change, but I think everything resembles the original product. This was the most frustrating to make because of the texturing. Seriously, texturing is really more tiresome than just building it, because every time you change something, you render and wait and render and wait. But in the end, the result is still worth it. Most of the time. So, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. You know, every time I do like a render interior, I was trying to make a scene looks like from a horror movie because it's really fun to do. So here's some extra scene that I made that, you know, kind of like comes from a horror movie.
He's just standing there, menacingly!